Good morning and shalom. Today we are going to read in 2 Kings chapter 10. And Ahab had 70 sons in Shamron. And Yahu wrote letters and sent to Shamron to the rulers of Israel, to the elders and to the guardians of Ahab, saying, And now, when this letter comes to you, since your master's sons are with you, and you have chariots and horses and a walled city and weapons, choose the best and most upright of your master's sons, and set him on his father's throne, and fight for your master's house. And they were greatly afraid, and said, Look, 2 sovereigns have not stood before him. How do we stand, we? And he who was over the house, and he who was over the city, the elders also, and the guardians, sent to Yahu, saying, We are your servants. And all that you say to us we do. We do not set up anyone to reign. Do what is good in your eyes. And he wrote a second letter to them, saying, If you are for me, and if you obey my voice, take the heads of the men, your master's sons, and come to me at Israel by this time tomorrow. Now the sovereign's sons, 70 beings, were with the great men of the city, who brought them up. And it came to be, when the letter came to them, that they took the sovereign's sons and slew them, 70 men, and put their heads in baskets and sent them to him at Israel. Then a messenger came and informed him, saying, They have brought the heads of the sovereign's sons. And he said, Make them 2 heaps at the entrance of the gate until morning. And it came to be in the morning that he went out and stood and said to all the people, You are righteous. Look, I conspired against my master and killed him. But who struck all these? Now, know now that not one word of Yahu'ah which Yahu'ah spoke concerning the house of Ahab does fall to the ground. For Yahu'ah has done what he spoke by his servant Eliyahu. And Yahu struck all those left of the house of Ahab in Israel, and all his great men and his friends and his priests, until he left him without a survivor. And he rose up to go and went to Shamron, on the way at Beth Eked of the shepherds. Yehu met the brothers of Ahaziah, sovereign of Yehudah, and said, Who are you? And they answered, We are brothers of Ahaziah, and we have come down to greet the sons of the sovereign and the sons of the sovereigness's mother. And he said, Take them alive. So they took them alive and slew them at the well of Beth Eked, 42 men, and he left none of them. And he left there and met Yehonadab, son of Rechab, coming to meet him, and blessed him, and said to him, Is your heart right, as my heart is toward your heart? And Yehonadab answered, It is. And Yahu said, If it is, give me your hand. And he gave him his hand. And he took him up to him into the chariot. And he said, Come with me and see my ardor for Yahu'ah. And they made him ride in his chariot. And he came to Shamron and struck all those left of Ahab in Shamron, till he had destroyed them, according to the word of Yahu'ah which he spoke to Eliyahu. And Yahu gathered all the people and said to them, Ahab served Baal a little, Yahu serves him much. And now call to me all the prophets of Baal and his servants and all his priests. Let no one be missing, for I have a great slaughtering to make to Baal. Anyone who is lacking shall not live. But Yahu did this deceptively, in order to destroy the servants of Baal. And Yahu said, Set apart an assembly for Baal. So they proclaimed it. And Yahu sent throughout all Yashrael, and all the servants of Baal came, so that there was not a man left who did not come. And they came into the house of Baal, and the house of Baal was filled from end to end. And he said to him who was over the wardrobe, Bring out garments for all the servants of Baal. And he brought out garments for them. And Yahu and Yahudab, son of Rechab, went into the house of Baal and said to the servants of Baal, Search and see that no servants of Yahuwah are here with you, but only the servants of Baal. So they went to make slaughterings and ascending offerings. Now Yahu had appointed for himself 80 men on the outside, and had said, The man who lets escape any of the men whom I have brought into your hands, his life for his life. And it came to be, when he had finished making the ascending offering, Yahu said to the guard and to the officers, Go in, strike them, and let no one come out. And they struck them with the edge of the sword. And the guards and the officers threw them out, and went into the inner room of the house of Baal, and brought out the pillars of the house of Baal, and burned them, and broke down the statue of Baal, and broke down the house of Baal, and made it a latrine to this day. Thus Yahu destroyed Baal out of Yashrael. However, Yahu did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, who made Yashrael sin, from the golden calves that were at Bethel and Dan. And Yahuwah said to Yahu, Because you have done well by doing what is right in my eyes, and have done to the house of Ahab all that was in my heart, your sons are going to sit on the throne of Yashrael to the 4th generation. But Yahu did not guard to walk in the Torah of Yahuwah, Eluah of Yashrael, with all his heart, for he did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, who had made Yashrael sin. In those days Yahuwah began to cut off some of Yashrael, and Hazael struck them throughout all the border of Yashrael. From the Yarden to the sun rising, all the land of Gilead, the Gadites and the Reubenites and the Meshanabites, from Ahor, which is by the Wadi Anan, including Gilead, Bashan. And the rest of the acts of Yahu and all that he did, and all his might, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Yashrael? So Yahu slept with his fathers, and they buried him in Shamron. And Yahu'ah's son, his son, reigned in his place. And the days of Yahu reigned over Yashrael in Shamron were 28 years. Chapter 11. And Athaliahu was the mother of Azahiahu, and when she saw that her son was dead, she arose and destroyed all the offspring of the reign. But Yahusheba, the daughter of the sovereign Joram, sister of Ahaziahu, took Joash, son of Ahaziahu, and stole him away from among the sons of the sovereign's sons who were put to death. So they hid him and his nurse in the bedroom from Athaliahu, and he was not put to death. And he remained with her in the house of Yahu for 6 years, while Athaliahu was reigning over the land. And in the 7th year, Yahuiada, sent and brought the commanders of hundreds, and the Karaites and the runners, and brought them into the house of Yahuwah to him. And he made a covenant with them, and took an oath from them in the house of Yahuwah, and showed them the son of the sovereign. And he commanded them, saying, "This is what you are to do. 1/3 of you who come in on the Shabbat to be on guard in the sovereign's house, and 1/3 at the gate of Sur, and 1/3 at the gate behind the runners. And you shall be on guard in the house, lest it be broken down. And the 2 detachments of you who are going out on the Shabbat shall be on guard in the house of Yahuwah for the sovereign. And you shall surround the sovereign on all sides, every man with his weapons in his hand. And whoever comes within the ranks, let him be put to death. And be with the sovereign as he goes out and as he comes in." So the commanders of the hundreds did according to all that Yahu'ah the priest commanded. And each of them took his men who were going in on the Shabbat, with those who were going out on the Shabbat, and came to Yahu'ah the priest. And the priest gave the commanders of hundreds the spears and shields which had belonged to sovereign God, that were in the house of Yahuwah. And the runners stood, every man with his weapons in his hand, all around the sovereign, from the right side of the house to the left side of the house, by the slaughter place and the house. And he brought out the son of the sovereign, and put him on the diadem and the witness, and they set him up to reign, and anointed him, and they clapped their hands, and said, "Let the sovereign live." And Athaliah heard the noise of the runners, the people, and she came to the people into the house of Yahuwah, and looked and saw the sovereign standing by a column, according to the ruling, and the chiefs and the trumpeters were beside the sovereign, and all the people of the land rejoicing and blowing trumpets. And Athaliah tore her garments and cried out, "Treason! Treason!" And Yahu'ah the priest commanded the commanders of the hundreds, the officers of the army, and said to them, "Take her outside the ranks, and slay with the sword whoever follows her." For the priest had said, "Do not let her be killed in the house of Yahuwah." So they took hold of her, and she went by the way of the horses, entrance to the sovereign's house, and was put to death there. And Yahu'ah made a covenant between Yahuwah and the sovereign and the people, to be the people of Yahuwah, also between the sovereign and the people. And all the people of the land went to the house of Baal and broke it down. They completely broke up its slaughter places and images, and killed Matan the priest of Baal before the slaughter places. And the priest anointed inspectors over the house of Yahuwah, and took the commanders of hundreds, and the Karaites, and the runners, and all the people of the land. And they brought the sovereign down from the house of Yahuwah, and went by the way of the gate of the runners to the sovereign's house. And he sat on the throne of the sovereigns. And all the people of the land rejoiced. And the city had rest, for they had slain Athaliah with the sword of the sovereigns in the sovereign's house. And Yahu'ah was 7 years old when he began to reign. Chapter 12. Yahu'ah began to reign in the 7th year of Yahu, and he reigned 40 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Sibyahu of Beersheba. And Yahu'ah did what was right in the eyes of Yahuwah all the days in which Yahu'ah the priest instructed him. However, the high places were not taken away. The people still slaughtered and burned incense on the high places. And Yahu'ah said to the priest, all the silver of the set-apart gifts that are brought into the house of Yahuwah, the silver coming over each man's assessment silver, all the silver that a man purposes in his heart to bring into the house of Yahuwah, let the priests take for themselves each from his friend, and let them strengthen the breaches of the house, wherever there is a breach. And it came to be by the 23rd year of sovereign Yahu'ah that the priests had not strengthened the breaches of the house. And sovereign Yahu'ah called Yahu'ah the priest and the other priests, and said to them, why have you not strengthened the breaches of the house? And now do not take any more silver from your friends, but give it for the breaches of the house. And the priests agreed that they would neither receive any more silver from the people, nor strengthen the breaches of the house. And Yahu'ah the priest took a chest and bored a hole in its lid, and set it beside the slaughter place, on the right side as one comes into the house of Yahuwah. And the priests who guarded the door put there all the silver that was brought into the house of Yahuwah. And it came to be, whenever they saw that there was much silver in the chest, that the sovereign scribe and the high priest came up and put it in bags, and counted the silver that was found in the house of Yahuwah, and gave the silver weighed out into the hands of those who did the work, who had the oversight of the house of Yahuwah. And they paid it out to the carpenters and builders who worked on the house of Yahuwah, and to stonemasons and stonecutters, for buying timber and hewn stone to strengthen the breach of the house of Yahuwah, and for all that was paid out to strengthen the house. However, there were not made for the house of Yahuwah basins of silver, snuffers, sprinkling bowls, trumpets, and objects of gold, or objects of silver from the silver that was brought into the house of Yahuwah. For they gave that to the workmen, and they strengthened the house of Yahuwah with it. And they did not reckon with the men into whose hand they gave the silver to be paid to workmen, for they acted trustworthily. The silver from the trespass offerings and the silver from the sin offerings was not brought into the house of Yahuwah. It belonged to the priest. And Hazael, sovereign of Aram, went up and fought against Gath and captured it. And Hazael set his face to go up to Jerusalem. And Yahu'ah, sovereign of Yehudah, took all the set-apart gifts of that his fathers, Jehoshaphat and Joram and Azayahu, sovereigns of Yehudah, had set apart, in his own set-apart gifts, and all the gold found in the treasuries of the house of Yahuwah, and in the sovereign's house, and sent them to Hazael, sovereign of Aram. Then he went away from Jerusalem. And the rest of the acts of Joash, and all that he did, are they not written in the books of annals of the sovereigns of Yehudah? And his servants rose up and made a conspiracy, and smote Joash in the house of Melo, which goes down to Silah. For Yozachar, son of Shimeath, and Yehuzadabad, son of Shomer, his servants struck him, so he died. And they buried him with his fathers in the city of Dod. And Amathas Yahu, his son, reigned in his place. Chapter 13. In the 23rd year of Yahu'ah, son of Ahaziah, sovereign of Yehuda, Yahu'ah, son of Yahu, began to reign over Yashrael in Shamron and reigned 17 years. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah and followed the sins of Jeroboam son of Nebat, who made Yashrael sin. He did not turn away from them. And the displeasure of Yahuwah burned against Yashrael, and he gave them into the hand of Hazael, sovereign of Aram, and into the hand of Ben-Hadad, son of Hazael, all the days. Then Yahu'ah sought the face of Yahuwah. And Yahuwah listened to him, for he saw the oppression of Yashrael, because the sovereign of Aram oppressed them. And Yahu gave Yashrael a savior, so that they came out from under the hand of Aram. And the children of Yashrael dwelt in their tents as before. However, they did not turn away from the sins of the house of Jeroboam, who had made Yashrael sin, but walked in them. Moreover, the Asherah also remained in Shamron. For he left of the army of Yahu'ah only 15 horsemen, and 10 chariots and 10,000 footmen. For the sovereign of Aram had destroyed them and made them like the dust at threshing. And the rest of the acts of Yahu'ah and all that he did, and his might, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Yashrael? So Yahu'ah slept with his fathers, and they buried him in Shamron. And Yahash, his son, reigned in his place. In the 37th year of Yahash, sovereign of Yehuda, Yahu'ah, son of Yahu'ah, began to reign over Yashrael in Shamron 16 years. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, and he did not turn away from all the sins of Jeroboam son of Nebat, who had made Yashrael sin. He walked in it. And the rest of the acts of Yahu'ah, in all that he did, and his might with which he fought against Amathisayahu, sovereign of Yehuda, are they not written in the book of annals of the sovereigns of Yashrael? So Yahu'ah slept with his fathers, and Jeroboam sat on his throne. And Yahu'ah was buried in Shamron with the sovereigns of Yashrael. And Elisha had become sick with the sickness in which he died. And Yahu'ah, the sovereign of Yashrael, came down to him and wept over his face and said, "O my father, the chariots of Yashrael and their horsemen." And Elisha said to him, "Take a bow and some arrows." And he took a bow and some arrows. And he said to the sovereign of Yashrael, "Place your hand on the bow." So he placed his hand on the bow. And Elisha placed his hands on the hands of the sovereign. And he said, "Open the east window." And he had opened it, and Elisha said, "Shoot." And he shot. Then he said, "The arrow of deliverance of Yahuwah, and the arrow of deliverance from Aram. For you shall strike Aram at Afik until it is finished." Then he said, "Take the arrows." And he took them. And he said to the sovereign of Yashrael, "Strike the ground." And he struck 3 times and stopped. And the man of Eluah was wroth with him and said, "You should have struck 5 or 6 times. Then you would have stricken Aram till its utter destruction. But now you shall strike Aram only 3 times. And Elisha died, and they buried him. And the raiding bands from Moab came into the land in the spring of the year. And it came to be, they were burying a man, and they saw a raiding band, and cast a man in the burial site of Elisha. And the man fell and touched the bones of Elisha, and came to life, and stood on his feet. And Hazael, sovereign of Aram, oppressed Yashrael all the days of Yahu'ah. But Yahuwah showed favor to them, and had compassion on them, and turned toward them for the sake of his covenant with Abraham, Yishak, and Jacob. It would not destroy them or cast them from his presence as yet. And Hazael, sovereign of Aram, died, and Ben-Hadad his son reigned in his place. And Yahuash, son of Yahu'ahaz, recovered from the hand of Ben-Hadad, son of Hazael, the cities which he had taken out of the hand of Yahu'ahaz, his father, in battle. And Yahuash struck him 3 times, and recovered the cities of Yashrael.